Hi guys, I'm recording this video as an SOS or a distress call. I'm very worried about the way things are being reported in this country. I mean, it's clear, it's obvious that some media people are obviously not in favor of South Africans fighting for their rights. It's clear that politicians are also not in favor of South Africans fighting for their rights, and that's cool. But I feel like it's very important for South Africans to understand that you are the ones now that hold the key to speaking the truth and telling it for really what it is. Because let me tell you, illegal immigrants and foreigners in general in this country are victims. They have been positioned as victims. They have been put on billboards to be victims. They have shouted and screamed for the whole world to see them as victims. And that's why they get away with all the crimes that they commit and all the nonsense that they're doing in this country. Because the first thing people jump to say is, oh, South Africans are xenophobic. And then South Africans, then they'll remind us about our history. And then they'll tell us that they helped us during apartheid. And then they'll tell us about how the economy, how we need the economy, what. Immigration has nothing to do with the economy. South Africa has an immigration crisis right now. South Africa is dealing with an immigration crisis right now, and it's a matter of urgency. We have been flooded by people that we don't know, that walk in from Africa and come into South Africa and start setting up shops and start selling, others start doing crime, others start taking over buildings. It is a cry for help from South Africans that we have an influx of people that we don't know. If you keep up with the news, you'll see some of them are even on Interpol all the way from Nigeria. Some of them are here committing all kinds of crimes that you can think of. And the first thing that they do is assume the position of being victims. So that when we South Africans stand up for ourselves, we are positioned as the ones that are wrong. So I'm asking all South Africans, this is the time that you must never keep quiet. Never allow these people to continue with this narrative of making us seem like we're crazy in the head for standing up for our country and the future of it. If people want to be in our country, that is perfectly fine, but do it in the correct manner. Come into South Africa because you've got a job offer that says that there's a space that is available for you to take up a job, as we do in other countries. In South Africa, people come here, they start trying to replace South Africans by allowing themselves to be hired as cheap labor for a very low amount, because they know that that money in their countries is a lot of money, unlike here. And when you say something about it, they call you lazy. They say South Africans are lazy because they know that at the end of the day, all they're here to do is become slaves. And then it's become South Africans' fault that they charge the minimum wage, which is money for survival in this particular country, not in their country, where our rand is 10 times better. So that money, when they have a rand here in their country, they've got more money than they need. In South Africa, we don't have that luxury. And then you have people telling us about skin color and being black. If black people loved us, if those same black people loved us, they would have protected us from a capitalist system that manipulates South Africans and makes us work like slaves for survival. But no, they're not here for that. They're here because they want to replace us, and they want to be the modern day slaves at the expense of us being rendered useless. So we already know that the media is not in our favor. Of course, we're not talking about everyone, but we know. Because look at what is happening in the country right now. When we were in East London, foreigners came to attack South Africans while they were protesting. That story didn't trend as much as the story of South Africans when they were angry and decided to retaliate. If you're going to call out wrong and say, okay, the burning or whatever was wrong, fine, do it. But don't manipulate the story in a sense that you do not tell how the story started. How do you, as a foreigner, come into someone else's country and stab someone because they're protesting in their country? Right now, yesterday, a South African woman, Teresa from March and March, was beat down on the streets by foreigners. And then when South African men got angry at that and decided to retaliate, suddenly the only thing that's trending now is that retaliation. Not the full picture, no. Not calling out the entire incident in its totality, no. You're just calling out the people that were retaliating after a woman was beaten. We've got all these politicians, Abo Musimaimane and so forth, Abo Zwelinzima Vavi, now having a voice when it's the foreigners who beat up a woman on the streets, by the way. But they don't say anything about that. And now, another story in the Eastern Cape. A woman who was protesting yesterday after the foreigners beat up another woman. So these foreigners beat up a woman for wanting water from a tap. They march on the streets. What do foreigners do? They burn her house down because they don't want her to speak up against the behavior of foreign nationals. So you're telling me that foreigners can do any and everything that they want in this country and the law only applies to us? The government only remembers that there's law in this country when it has to apply to South Africans. When do we hear foreign nationals being told about their behavior in the country? We've never heard government complain about the way they hijack buildings, about the way they're leaving our streets dirty, the way they've run down our buildings, the crimes that they've committed, the many things that we already know we can attribute to foreigners, but we're not allowed to speak up about it. In these Pakistani shops and Somalian shops, how many girl children get raped? But we can't say anything because if we say anything, we're going to be called vigilantes. Guys, it's okay now. Call us whatever you want to call us. It's okay. Call us vigilantes if you want. But you can't stop us from fighting for our rights. Because remember, the same government that today is telling us about vigilantism and laws and what is the same government that got into power because they saw that the laws of the country were oppressing the people. And what did they do? Now you want to tell us that when South Africans are unhappy with you, that they are vigilantes. You're ignoring the cries of South Africans. But when foreigners are affected, you jump. Because foreigners you can't tell me that you do not see the provocation that we get from foreigners, even in the comment sections on social media, every single day, the videos that they make, telling us, oh, you can try that, we're going to take over South Africa, South Africa is our country, you guys are lazy, you're useless, and we are here, we're going to show you what. You don't see all of those things. And you think it's okay for people to behave like that in a country where the natives live. Remember, we don't have another country. We don't have. They can do whatever they want because they know they can go back to wherever they want to go back to. So with us, this is the only way that we can survive is if South Africa survives. So when you're calling out South Africans, we're not going to listen to you anymore if you're not calling out your foreign nationals. If you're not arresting your foreign nationals for the crimes that they're committing, it means you're giving everyone a free pass to continue and commit crime. You cannot tell us that there's criminals all over the country. South African criminals are a South African responsibility. We don't have a responsibility to foreigners from all over the world here. We are not trying to import criminals into our country. That's not what we want. That's not a country. So now, please stop this thing of trying to make it seem like South Africans are crazy in the head for defending themselves against foreign nationals. Because we're not going to stop defending ourselves against provocation and this consistent violence. We know they come from a violent background. They ran away from their countries which have violence because that's the only language they know. So they come into our country to commit even more violence. And we are the ones that must retract and keep quiet. So if you are saying to me those people are victims as you claim, why are they fighting in South Africa? They were not able to fight in their country. Did they fight in their country? No, they ran to South Africa. Now, when they're in South Africa, they have the ability to fight. Very rich, very, very rich. If they have an ability to fight, I suggest they go and fight in their country. You can't be fighting South Africans for their country. It'll never happen.